With 8 or so hours to kill inside that Manhattan courthouse today, Donald Trump occupied himself in one of his favorite ways. As the jury was deliberating, he seemed to be testing just about how many posts per minute he could fire off on Truth Social. By our count, Donald Trump, or maybe his aides, posted more than 40 times, including everything from clips of Fox News to quotes from people defending them, some of them misquotes, I should note, as well as repeating claims that he has made for weeks now about this case, this judge, and this court. My next guest has been in the room with the former president during some of the most tense moments imaginable. Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, is here. And Ambassador Bolton, it's great to have you. I mean, this is one of the most fascinating parts to me is that Trump can't leave the courthouse while the jury is there deliberating. He has to be he doesn't be in the actual courtroom, but he has to be in the courthouse. I just wonder what you think that means to him.
Well, I think it's driving him crazy. I mean, I've back in the day sweated out a few jurors, and it's nerve-wracking for everybody. But because the defendant has to be available, if the jury comes in with a verdict, you can't have him wandering away. So he's kind of stuck there, and 40 tweets or whatever we call Truth Socials these days, that's probably a low number. Let's see what it is tomorrow.
Yeah, it was remarkable to kind of scroll through when he'd only been in there for 12 or so minutes. But the reason he's there, when they get a note, he and his legal team also go in the room to hear what the note is. It could obviously be quite important. And I know you and I have talked about this case before. You don't agree with the underlying premise of it, but this verdict is going to come from a jury of 12 of his peers. They'll make the decision on the evidence that they have seen, that none of us have quite seen it in the way that they have. And I just wonder, how you think Trump will react to the verdict, regardless of what it is.
Well, I think he's obviously preparing himself. And I think the odds favor, in my view, a hung jury. But I do think conviction is possible. I think acquittal is almost impossible. So between the two possibilities, he'll certainly declare victory if it's a hung jury, and he'll blame the conviction, if that's what it is, on the deep state. The difference between this and other prior crises for Trump that threaten him and his future is this time he's in the middle of an election campaign. So he's got a particular target, and that's Joe Biden. And amidst the general outrage we will hear expressed, I think the campaign is certainly trying to channel him toward keeping his eyes on the prize, which is defeating Biden. Now, whether he sticks with that plan is a different question. But I think that's one major difference. Before, it was just his general Trumpian war of all against all. But now he's got an opponent he has to beat in 6 months. And that's where I think the focus will be.
What do you make of what I've heard from some Trump folks that a conviction will help him?
I don't think a conviction, even in a Manhattan courtroom, helps anybody. He will still be potentially a convicted felon at that point. I think a lot of independent voters, they may say that's the end of it for us. It may fire Trump's base up, and he may be able to say, well, I'll win on appeal and explain it that way. It's not a good look to be convicted under any circumstances. Not everybody believes that this is an unfair prosecution. Not everybody believes Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are driving it. There'll be issues on appeal. He might get it overturned on appeal, but I don't think he cares about that. He's worried about the conviction before the election.
You're a lifelong Republican, and you've often touted the merits of the U.S. justice system when you're on the world stage and how our courts work, and that any American can be held accountable, no matter your status or your rank or your office that you've previously held. Do you think Republicans and Republican voters and everyone should be able to have faith in what this verdict is from this jury?
Well, I think the jury is going to do its job. I really do. And if you don't like the jury because it's in Manhattan and it has a certain demographic, ask Donald Trump why he did his entire business career in Manhattan. You get to pick where you live. He picked it. Now he's going to bear the consequences of it. There's merit to the claim that this case has political bias behind it. The district attorney campaigned specifically saying he was going to get Donald Trump, and now he's got him in court. But it's also possible a prosecutor is motivated by politics, but has an actual breaking of the law situation that he's brought against the defendant. We'll see what the jury says on it. But the fact is that Trump still has the full potential to appeal. It's not over for him just because of the jury verdict. And if you say that you oppose the entire judicial system because you think one person's being treated unfairly. It's a very destructive course to go down, especially for conservatives.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because Marco Rubio wants to be vice president. It's quite clear. He's an esteemed senator. He clearly is hoping for this job. I mean, he's comparing this to what the Soviet Union does to political opponents there. And I mean, that's a comparison that some Republicans may see and say, well, he has a point, but it's not just Alvin Bragg who is doing this. There's a jury in that room. There's a case that has to be made. They're not just making up evidence. And the jury is listening to that. So what do you make of people like Senator Rubio's claims?
Well, I think there's a danger of questioning the integrity of all of our legal institutions this way. And Trump only cares about Trump. He doesn't care if the institutions rise or fall. He just wants to know what Donald Trump's fate is going to be. And I think for Republicans to play into his hands is a huge mistake. You've already got other people who are out there questioning the system from the other side. And if I were in Moscow or Beijing, I would say anything that undercuts Americans' general faith in their Constitution, their institutions, weakens America. It doesn't matter whether it's from the left or right. It's an attack on the integrity of the system itself that in the case of Donald Trump and this prosecution is just not evident.
Ambassador John Bolton, great to have you here on set.
Thanks.
Thank you.